So I beat Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and at this point I've seen pretty much everything the game has to offer. So I thought I'd share my thoughts on the game as it stands at this current moment. That's without any DLC or anything. The game has been out for a while now, so I will probably end up talking about some story at some point during this video, so there probably will be spoilers. To start, let me talk about my first impressions of this game. Before I'd even gotten the game, obviously it got leaked, and people were playing through and experiencing a plethora of technical issues. Game crashes, pop-ins, graphical errors, and just general bugs were all over the internet, and the general consensus was that this game looked unfinished and was not worthy of the AAA title it was built upon. However, I think these issues were a bit overblown. In my experience, at least, I never really encountered anything more than a few graphical glitches and pop-ins throughout my playthrough. And when looking on the comments on a lot of the glitch compilations on social media, I think a lot of others had a similar experience to mine. That isn't to discredit those experiencing these glitches, or to give a pass to Game Freak for these issues, but it seemed like at times the public wanted this game to fail before experiencing what it had to offer themselves. And what it has to offer, in my opinion, is one of the best Pokemon experiences to date. Again, I said in my opinion, I can understand how the game might look bad, the graphical issues might turn people off, or the changes to the style of the game and difficulty might not be for you. But as someone who has played and beaten at least one version of nearly every mainline Pokemon game, I thought I was done with the series for good. I really experienced the burnout around Sun and Moon, and didn't even try Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, or Sword and Shield. However, one game that piqued my interest enough to get back into the series, which I'm sure you can guess, was Legends Arceus. I thought this was the perfect Pokemon spin-off game, but we can focus on that another time. Anyways, after piquing my interest in Pokemon again, Scarlet and Violet seemed like exactly what I thought a main series Pokemon game should have done after Legends Arceus. And in a lot of ways it does. See, one of the biggest improvements in my opinion in Legends was the catching system. Walk up to a Pokemon, throw a Pokeball, bang, seamless. However, by doing this, it de-emphasized battling and leveling up your Pokemon in a lot of ways, which is fine for a spin-off game, but I think would be a little jarring and controversial to do in a main series game. That's where I think Scarlet and Violet really shines the greatest for me in terms of its improvements. This is the first main series Pokemon game where I fully completed the Pokedex and had a blast doing it. While throwing a Pokeball outside of the battle was removed, the open world sense of finding that Pokemon you're looking for remains the same. No more running around aimlessly in tall grass looking for the 5% chance Pokemon to come out. Instead, it's that, but since there are so many more Pokemon spawning in at a time, it's never been easier to find the one that you're looking for. Exploring the world itself is another just fun aspect of this game, and is even a bit of an improvement over Legends in my opinion, since it's one big open world. So now if we want to talk about the story in this game is almost secondary in a lot of ways to me, as I had my most fun just running around finding cool Pokemon to add to my team all the time. But even still, I think this story excels pretty well for a Pokemon game. There are 3 branching paths to go through, and each one telling a different story. Here's your standard beat the gyms, become the champion, which I thought had a somewhat refreshing take with the whole taking on gyms in whatever order you want, and some of the different gym challenges were interesting. Not every one of them is a gem, and I think a lot of people might complain about the difficulty being too easy here, but it is still fun enough for me to enjoy it, and because I was swapping my team around so much, and I had so many Pokemon I wanted to use, I found myself never being too over-leveled for most gyms. Then there's your standard bad guy team, which again gets points for its attempt to try something new with the idea, however it falls a little flat by being just generally another generic kids got bullied but friendship wins story. But I'm not here to really ask for that mature storyline in my children's game. But we actually did get more mature story with the third storyline with a boy and his dog. And while I think this is by far the best storyline in the game, I wasn't all that into the Titan challenges. They're more of just a means to continue that storyline and get my legendary to be more mobile. Finally, all 3 conclude in Area 0. And honestly, I thought it was a really cool looking area that gets crazier the further down you go. At first, I was a little disappointed with it, as it seemed like just a crumbled overworld, but the farther down I went, the more amazed I was by the area. I mean, it truly looks like just insanely cool at times. And this all culminates into one of the coolest final battles I've seen in a Pokemon game to date. It's a lot to try and explain, but it's a really refreshing take on the whole Pokemon story that makes all the things you do up until that point feel somewhat meaningful. There's a few other things in this game that I really appreciated and enjoyed that I want to mention here as well. First off, shiny hunting. This has to be the best and probably easiest game to find shinies in the entire Pokemon series. In a normal playthrough, you'll likely run into at least one shiny without even attempting to, though you might not even notice it and run right by it, since a lot of them look very similar to the normal ones, and they remove that little sparkle they get when they spawn from Legends, but it's still fun. And if you do try, it's easier than ever to find one, and there are a ton of different methods to do so. That feeling of finally getting the shiny you were looking for after spending all that time searching for it can't be beat. I've collected a lot of shinies already, and it keeps making me want to come back for more even after I completed the game. Secondly, we have battling, specifically the Let's Go feature. I think this feature is a great quality of life feature for those of us that hate that grinding aspect of Pokemon. During the main game, you'll probably never have to get into a real battle outside the story-based ones unless you want to. The Let's Go feature can have you level up your Pokemon quickly and efficiently. Speaking of leveling up quickly, I know it's not a new feature in this game, but the XP candies are an absolute godsend when it comes to completing the Pokedex, or trying to get a certain Pokemon on your team early. These things are so helpful when you just want to evolve a Pokemon and fill out your Pokedex, and don't want to grind to level it up. It makes it way easier, and was so helpful in completing it. Because when there's Pokemon that I don't want to use or don't want to have on my team, I just want to get them leveled up and evolved so I can get them in the Pokedex. These things are awesome. Finally, my biggest positive with any game is if it feels fun to move around in. Take Mario Odyssey as a good example of that, and this game passes pretty successfully. I think Legends was a little better in this aspect, and in the beginning of the game the movement can feel a little restricted, but once you get a few sandwiches in your motorcycle dinosaur, the movement can feel a lot more fun. I haven't even touched on the online trading or raid battles aspect of the game, and that's mainly because I didn't spend too much time with these features, except for trying to trade version exclusives, but every time you put in the link code, you find people with the same version as you over and over again. Seriously, man, I know it was broken and hackable, but I miss the GTS system, man. And as for raids, they're fun for a little while, and I can see why it can be fun for people to get the perfect raid team for the raid battles and can expand the longevity of the game, but it's not something I was super interested in, so I really don't have much to say other than it's pretty cool looking. All in all, I'll say this isn't the perfect game, and I can see why some may be upset with the way it looks for being a AAA title, but to me, once you get past the graphics, there's a lot to like about this game, and it's one of the most ambitious Pokemon games I've played, and I hope that going forward, they continue to build off the foundation laid down by this game. And if there is DLC, I'm all here for it. So I don't know if I would consider this my favorite Pokemon game as of now, but it's definitely one of them, and it has some of my favorite features in any Pokemon game so far, and I think if there are a few more updates or additions to this game, it could definitely take that top spot. Thank you all for watching this video. If you liked it, please like the video, and I'll see you all next time.